this is Jeff Keith from Tesla, and you're checking out Mega Metal Magazine.
Wait.
Hey, this is Frank Hannon from Tesla, and you're checking out Mega Metal Magazine.
Nice. I want to start everything off with is talking about your guys' show tonight here at the Kansas State Fair. How do you think that went over for you guys?
I was totally pleased, man. You know, Kansas is like, you know, being in the heartland of America, you know, and being on September 11th, you know, the anniversary of 9/11. And we have a song called Heaven 9/11, which is about that. Just the whole vibe and the energy of the crowd was really patriotic, and like there was a lot of heart. I just felt a lot of pride being here and a lot of heart in the show, and the crowd really seemed to feel that. In fact, I had a lot of people telling me after the show, "Hey man, thanks for being so patriotic," you know. And I think our country needs a boost like that, and you know, we're kind of like America's rock and roll band.
Mm-hmm. Is there any place that you guys go and you're like, man, I love playing that place just because you guys get the biggest reception there?
Yeah, you know, the Midwest, like you said, is definitely like that for Tesla. You know, Chicago is another place that we get a killer, heartfelt reception. You know, Denver, Omaha, Nebraska, all through the middle of the country. Mm-hmm. The coastal towns are pretty cool, but they seem to be more like jaded, like Hollywood or Seattle or New York, places like that. Mm-hmm. But when you come to the heartland of the country where people are like down home and for real, I think they can relate to Tesla because that's how we are, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice. So how much longer do you guys have out on this leg of the tour?
Right now we're flying out every weekend and we're playing, you know, state fair gigs like this one, and then we go out in October and we tour for a whole month, all through the Midwest again. And then we end up on a cruise ship in November called Shiprock, and that's with Queensryche and I think Skid Row and some other people are on that bill. And we're going to be on a cruise ship going from Florida down to Jamaica and stuff like that. And then we go home for the holidays, and then I don't know what we're doing next.
How did you get involved with that whole thing?
I really don't know, to be honest. Somebody called somebody and said, "Hey, you want to do this?" And we talked about it. And myself, I've never been on a big Love Boat cruise ship before in my life, you know, so it's going to be something new for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice. Let's talk about a little bit about the newest record. How was the experience recording that for you?
For me, it was very, very intense because Terry Thomas, our producer, flew over and was working with us in the studio during the day. And at night, I was in the video studio editing Coming At You Live 2008, the DVD that we made. Mm-hmm. And I had filmed a bunch of behind-the-scenes footage that I wanted to get on that DVD for bonus features. So I was up all night the whole time while we were making Forevermore during the day. And then I was going and editing video all night, so I didn't get any sleep. So I was really, but see, at the same time, being creative like that and just being 100% immersed in our creativity and in full control of what we do, I wouldn't have it any other way. And that's how we are today, because we were told for many years by managers and labels, "Oh, you can't make a live video, you can't do this, you can't edit your own stuff, you can't design your own shirts." Well, that's all bullshit. And we finally now do all of that stuff ourselves. Mm-hmm. So it was very intense making the record. In fact, you know, Jeff, our singer, was going through some personal stuff, divorce, and a bunch of crazy shit at the time. And the producer really helped us focus the album. And the title track, Forevermore, the music, that riff I've had for a long time, they had literally turned off the tape machine, turned off the computer and everything, and said, "All right, we're done." And Jeff said, "Hey, wait a minute, Frank's got a riff that I want to record, that I want to write the song, you know." And the producer got really pissed off because he thought he was done making the record. We said, "No, we got one more song, man, we want to do. This is one of the strongest riffs we got." Mm-hmm. So the last day we fired everything back up and we recorded the title track, which is the opening song on the album, which is one of my personal favorites on the record.
Nice. Now, do you, being involved in the creation process from the beginning to the end, you've heard the record in different parts. Do you remember the first time you actually heard the final mix of the new record, what you thought about it?
Yeah, I was much happier with it than I was at the earlier stages of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, sometimes you can go into a studio and immediately you just hear it and go, wow, this is going to be cool right away.
Mm-hmm.
This one, it had to develop. And like I said, it wasn't until the last day that we actually recorded the title track of the album. So it really had to develop over time. And I remember getting the mix back and being totally satisfied and proud of the record.
Mm. Nice. Let's talk a little bit about subject of guitars. Do you remember the first time you actually picked up your first guitar?
That was a long time ago. That was 30-something years ago. I remember the first time that I got really interested in music. There was a couple times. There was a band that was practicing in the house next door to us across this field, and I could hear their music echoing through the field. So I rode my little dirt bike out there and went up on there, and they were having this big party, man. And there was all these hippies, and they were all playing music and stuff. And I remember going, man, that's what I want to do. Man, I want to do that. You know, I was about 10 years old, and then I started off playing drums first, and when I was 10, and then Frampton Comes Alive came out in 1976. Was a great year for music.
Oh, yeah.
Boston,
Yeah.
Ted Nugent, Rick Derringer, Robin Trower, all these just amazing guitar players were putting out live albums in 1976. And when I would listen to those records, my older cousins would have them. You know, I listened on the headphones. And, I'm gonna do that. That's what I'm definitely gonna do. When I was 10. So.
Wow. Wow. Did you ever think that you would be sitting here doing interviews with media and still playing?
Well, I never really thought about the media part of it when I was a kid, but I always knew that playing music was definitely going to be my life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, I know you have some side stuff that you do. Can you talk a little bit about that? Are you still doing your side gigs?
Yeah, I do. I'm constantly writing, and I have a band that just goes by my name, Frank Hannon Band.
Mm-hmm.
It started off called Kaleidoscope. We were doing 60s psychedelic covers.
Wow.
And then we changed it from Kaleidoscope just to using my name.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always writing and recording. Right now on my website, frankhannon.com, I have a 9/11 tribute going on, a charity for firefighters that were their families. It's a New York survivors of the New York Fire Department from the World Trade Center disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote a song last month. I was thinking about how when that was all happening, I remember watching it on TV,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember watching before the second plane even hit. Watching all the people just running and freaking out, and all the firefighters going in, and they were all coming out. I was thinking, wow, man, those guys got some balls. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And so I was thinking about that recently, about how they're just heroes. So I wrote a song called "The Heroes," and it's on my personal website, frankhannon.com. You can download it, and any of the profits that I make from that, I'm going to split up between these two charities. Between Auburn. The city of Auburn just had a big fire in California, and there was a hero there. And one of the verses in the song speaks of the hero there that ran into this house that was on fire, and he saved this little old lady.
Wow.
He's a local hero in our town. So we're going to donate money to the Auburn fire victims, and also to the New York Fire Department, the family survivors, as a fund set up for them.
Wow.
So it's an experiment. We're going to see how it works. But the song is called "The Heroes," and it's on my website. And I sang it and played all the instruments. And Troy Lucetta played drums. So that's my latest side project.
Now, are you still doing shows with
Yeah.
Hannon Band?
I'm doing, in October, I've got 3 shows in Sacramento,
Nice.
in the area there.
Nice. Keeping busy. Seem to be a jack of all trades. And
Yeah, I'm a workaholic, I guess, man. I'm very lucky that I love what I do. And, excuse me, as far as playing and creating and recording and stuff and writing songs. And I keep busy. I've got 3 kids, so I'm torn between spending time with them and then trying to feed them.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I've got to make a living, man. So I'm always working and being creative. And
Kind of a double-edged sword thing.
it is, yeah.
Yeah. You ever bring them out on the road with you?
Oh yeah, they come out with me all the time.
What was their, the first time you brought them out on the road? How did they?
Well,
react to that?
I homeschooled my 16-year-old daughter for a month on the road, right when the 9/11 happened. And I took her to Ground Zero, and she got to do a whole report on that
Wow.
Ground Zero and visiting the whole thing.
Wow.
So I did that for a month, and then I took my son, when he was a little baby, I took him out on the road with me. But they're all in school a lot now, and so they don't really come out with me as much anymore.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Let's talk a little bit about your guitars. You have any guitars that are your personal favorites? You have any one-of-a-kinds or any collectibles that you keep locked up at home and only play at home?
Well, yeah, all the guitars that I use on the Tesla show tonight are all Gibsons. I have my white Flying V, I have my black Flying V with the mirror, and both of those guitars are killer. They stay in tune great and they sound great. So those are like mainstays for me. My SG is one of my favorite guitars. It's got a great tone. And I have a off-white Les Paul Custom that I'm using now that I just got last year. And Randy Rhoads' mom signed it for me. And it's got her autograph on the back of the neck. I got to meet her. I went and visited her last year. And she's just great. She's so smart. She's elderly. And she can barely get around. But she'll just sit there and tell you stories about Randy, man. And it's just...
Wow.
I was in tears. And I played Love Song for her.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a video for it on TeslaTroops.com, our fan club website. There's a video of that visit. She autographed it. So that's one of my favorite guitars. I played that at the show. And then at home, I've got kind of duplicates of what I carry out here because I need to do my Frank Hannon band shows. I've got a black Les Paul Custom, another Flying V, and an Explorer that I use, and my old Cherry Double Neck, as I call it. So I'm rambling too much. So
Oh, no, it's all good. It's all good.
I'm not high, I promise.
On the subject of Les Paul, what are your thoughts about him?
Oh,
Any
man,
memories?
I met Les Paul one time, and this is when we first came out 20 years ago, and he was old then. You know? He was jamming, man, and I told him I was in a band called Tesla, and he just started going off on me about how Edison was the greatest inventor ever, and I was like, I'm not arguing with Les Paul, because he invented electric guitar and multi-track. I'm not arguing with Les Paul. I said, you're right, sir. Okay, sure, whatever. He was great. A little feisty old guy, man. He was awesome.
Nice. Now, being a veteran of touring and releasing records, looking back over your career, is there any one moment that stands out as the most memorable?
No, not really. I can't really think of just one. I mean, there's been some really great times, and then there's been some really low, hard times. It's, one minute they love you, and one minute they don't want anything to do with you. When we broke up, it was in the 90s. We broke up for 5 years, and that was kind of a down time. It was a really hard time. One of the most memorable things, though, was probably Texas Jam 1987. It was the biggest gig we ever did at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas, opening for Aerosmith in Boston. And meeting Brad Delp, the singer from Boston, he was such a sweetheart, man. And that when he committed suicide, that just really broke my heart.
Yeah. Another rock tragedy there.
I just don't understand it.
Yeah. Now, we were talking a little bit about your website, and on the subject of internet, there's these crazy things called social networking sites, MySpace, Twitters, Facebooks. What's your thoughts and opinions on those?
I think those things are great. I myself personally don't have time to sit there and do that all day. But when I did have time to network and do that, I found Dave Rude, our guitarist, on MySpace. And so I'm grateful that it's out there.
Wow.
And I think it's a very cool outlet for musicians to get their music out. I mean, musicians can be independent today. You don't need the major label. You can do it all yourself. And the computer and the internet plays a big part of that.
Yeah, definitely. So what's the next year hold for you personally? You're going to release a Frank Hannon record?
Probably, yeah. I'm going to continue to develop my voice as a singer and continue to write songs. And then Tesla will write songs together and make another Tesla album. And a lot of my stuff that I write on my own sometimes doesn't make it on the Tesla table because it can be a little too bluesy or a little too out there. So, you know, that stuff will end up being developed and put on my own records.
Okay. Man, I think that about covered everything.
Great, man.
Definitely appreciate you taking time to chat with us. And
My pleasure. Is this on the internet or what?
yeah, it's going to be on our website and
Video player?
yeah,
Right?
yep, definitely. So
Mega Metal Magazine.